Hello to everybody who joined early. We're going to get started in a few minutes, but thank you so much for joining so early. And also to those joining us live, we are live on YouTube as well. Fabulous. Kate, we were having the debate before you joined, but we're debating what is the best chain, like generic chain coffee shop? Tim Hortons, McDonald's, Pret. What's your vote?
Quite like Pret, but I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't do it for the coffee flavor, which my husband is very specific about, and there's a specific chain here in town that he likes. It is not a wider chain. Not a big coffee fan, not a big coffee drinker. I'll drink anything really that. So I'm not judging it on coffee, but for atmosphere and food and offering, Pret, I would say.
I do think that like Europe's got it made when it comes to having Pret everywhere.
I was in America recently, and I was surprised how few big coffee chains there are. There's just so many here, and there's not that many in America that are big national chains. So I'm surprised by that.
I mean, as a Canadian, I can honestly only think of like two big American ones. Like there's Dunkin' and there's Starbucks. Is there any other big ones then?
Not really.
Well, I mean, you got the McCafe, so like that's kind of coming up.
True.
And then it's mostly just regional things. Like we up in the north here, we have Caribou Coffee, which is kind of like Starbucksy. And then it'll just be kind of like artisan roasters that want to charge $12 a cup.
Well, Deborah says Starbucks, so
yeah.
Spoke from the panel, the channel.
And earlier, everyone was kind of poo-pooing on Starbucks, but I'm like, that's a consistent cup of coffee globally, which is difficult to manage.
True. Very true. In terms of supply chain and global consistency, they've got it nailed. I just can't spend $8 a day on coffee when I could go across the street to Starbucks or to McDonald's for $2. We still have people trickling in here, so we'll start at just a couple minutes after the hour. We've got somebody joining from the Philippines. I wonder what the big coffee is there. Don't know why the debate this morning is coffee, but here we are.
I'm liking this music, Ben. It's a departure from the norm, but I like it.
Yeah, I was trying to find some actual like popular song instrumentals, and Google Music was letting me down. So then I just stumbled onto this. I'm like, this is funky. This is good. We're gonna get into some funky topics today, so it'll be good.
I just tossed all of our LinkedIn links into the chat. If anybody wants to be friends, DM us after this, message us with questions, be our friends. We're gonna get started here in 2 more minutes. But yeah, if you want to share your LinkedIn's, please, I will absolutely add every single one of you that throws your LinkedIn in the chat here. But be our friends and shoot us questions after this. That's what we're here for.
Has anybody heard any of the AI kind of music stuff coming out?
Some
of
of it is
like,
hilarious. I will give it
yeah,
that. Like the
some of
attempt
them
to
are
write
pretty good.
country music lyrics are bad.
Well, not even like net new music, just taking an old song and kind of re-genre, getting it into a new genre. Like some of those are pretty dang good.
There's a tool called Suno AI, which is crazy. Like the things you can do with that to make music. Like it does it instantly as well. It's like 2 songs in 2 seconds. It's wild.
Make me sing like Adele.
Yeah, it's
All
scary.
right, I'm here for it. My kids don't appreciate it, but I think I'm getting better.
All right, we're gonna start it in 1 more minute here, friends. All right, well, we're gonna get started here in just a moment. We've got a couple more people trickling in, but obviously today we are here to talk about getting new customers. Guys, this is gonna be a 3-part series because holy man, was this ever requested. Kate's gonna share those details momentarily on like part 2 and part 3, but I would be curious if you have like a go-to channel that is like your secret sauce to getting new customers. I would love to hear about it. Like, where do you get yours? I know for me, when I used to work in the food and beverage industry, sidewalk chalk was our best friend during COVID. We used to send the servers out with roller skates and sidewalk chalk, and that was our best source of customers during COVID because it was springtime. Everybody was outside. They couldn't go places. So we were drawing cheeseburgers all over the sidewalk, and that was literally our best source of lead generation for a little while there, which is so funny because it's such a kindergarten activity, but it worked for us. So if you have like a cool secret sauce to getting customers, like I want to hear about it. But in the meanwhile, if you want to, if you have a cool one you want to share, please throw it in the chat. And beyond that, Kate, take it away.
Thank you, Becca. As Becca says, this is a first in our series of focus entirely on customers. And the background to this really is that in our last webinar, we asked everybody attending, what did they want to hear about? What more did they want to focus on? And overwhelmingly, the response is centered on growing your business, scaling your business, getting and keeping more customers. And so we just gathered some of our favorite people to talk about those things exactly. And so coming soon, we'll be focusing on the other things, but this one in particular, this session is about attracting new customers. And so let's take a look at our panel really quickly. My name is Kate. I'm the Director of Product here at You Can Book Me. I spent a lot of time working on identifying who our ideal customer was, positioning the product for them, and figuring out ways of communicating with them. Becca, in a previous life, was a co-founder of a marketing agency. She's very into customer engagement, community, and different marketing tactics like that. Ben is on the product team, super into automation, has a family marketing business that has a lot of experience marketing to small B2C businesses. Hiba is the founder of a consultancy which helps marketing teams with strategy and execution, specifically thinking about content and driving customers that way. And Joel has expertise in demand generation, which is really just a fancy way of saying he's tactics that build interest in your product and in your brand. And he's going to focus on paid advertising strategies for small businesses. So there's a lot to go through, but please don't worry. We are going to be sending out after this webinar a PDF with all of the information that you could possibly get from it, all of our tips, there will be homework, all of the homework assignments will all be in the PDF. So don't worry about taking notes, just listen and enjoy, and we'll be able to send you all of that. And included in that PDF will be resources that we as a team have thought that these are the people and things that we return to over and over again because it's got great insights or great information. And so we wanted to share that with you as well. So as soon as that's fine. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to stick them in the Q&A section of the webinar. You can the chat is usually pretty active, and so better if you've got a question that you want answered, put it in the Q&A. We'll be looking at them. We'll save some to answer it for everybody at the end, but either way, we will come back to you with a reply to your question, whatever it might be. So go ahead. Game plan, really. Becca's going to be talking about finding your audience and getting that product niche. Hiba is going to be talking about, finding where your customers really are and looking at the different channels where you can communicate with them. Joel, user-friendly guide to starting paid ads, which is a mouthful. And then also Ben is going to be looking at connecting with our prospective customers. So Becca, please take it away. Oh, you're muted, Becca.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Let's get into actually like finding your audience and your niche as a little bit of a warm up here. So if we could hop to my first slide, that would be super duper. The biggest thing is if you're marketing to everybody, you are marketing to nobody. Because let's be honest, there's so much marketing noise out there. We all get bombarded with ads constantly, marketing messages, branding messages. It's nonstop. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. So if you're just shooting messages out into the wild and not thoughtfully curating it for who your audience is, it's kind of like throwing a message in a bottle into the ocean. Sure, you technically sent a message out there, but genuinely nobody's gonna care. So it needs to be targeted at the right people. That being said, and you know what? I really hope my business school doesn't come for me and take away all my degrees on this, but the typical business school method of defining your target audience isn't real. It's not realistic. It only works in a classroom setting. Sorry, U of S, it's not realistic. There's no way that all the patrons of your ice cream store enjoy playing hacky sack and riding unicycles and are between the ages of 27 and 31 and have brown hair. No, that's not real. So how do you actually figure out how to target and who to target? Well, we basically use ourselves as an example because you can book me learn this the hard way. And like, let's just get vulnerable here and show our cards on the table. We did it wrong for a while and we're just gonna tell you, why not? So in the beginning, You Can Book Me was built by small businesses for small businesses. It was literally built on our founders' kitchen table. They would put their kids to bed at night and then build You Can Book Me. And that's how it started. Just a couple of parents at their kitchen table. And then very, very shortly after that, Kate joined the crew and it grew and it did awesome. But over time, I don't know if it was from watching what our competitors were doing, the pressure of thinking it was the right or the grown-up thing to do, watching our competitors, I don't know. We ended up putting years and years of energy, marketing, development, and love into targeting enterprise level users. When at the start, we were like, small business, switch to enterprise for many reasons. But guess what? They aren't and genuinely never have been the core user base of You Can Book Me. And it was actually Kate who figured it out. After literal hours she spent interviewing customers. She interviewed like our longest standing customers, our best users, and she realized, yeah, our existing customers aren't enterprise. They are small business owners. They're mom and pop shops. They're entrepreneurs. They're startups. So because of all this love and research that Kate did, we basically had to burn down our entire strategy and start over when it comes to marketing. We even rebranded last year because honestly, the entirety of our messaging, it was built for corporate, it was built for enterprise, and it wasn't aligned with the people that we were actually working for. So you need to lean on the market to help dictate who your audience is, and you need to talk to your users. If you follow us on YouTube, I mean, please do. I put weird stuff on there all the time, but some fun stuff too. But if you follow us on YouTube, we interview our customers. We interview a customer every week, and now we record them and we post them. I'm frozen. Is my vocals frozen too, or just my visual? All right. Well, it's a very cute place for my face to freeze, but fine. Looks like it's thinking about coming back. There we are. We literally interview a customer a week to keep our hands on the pulse of what's going on with our customers, what they need, what they're doing, and we put them on YouTube. So if you wanted to get an idea of like how we're doing it, we put it out there for the world to see. And you need to solve one clear problem is the other message that I really want to share on my end today. If you can't explain the problem that you're solving in 3 words or less to your customers, then it's too confusing. So for You Can Book Me, better booker experience, simple. And if you can define your problem in 3 words or less, please do. Fabulous. That's awesome, but it's hard to do. So as a little practice, and one of your homework is to make sure you can define your problem in 3 words or less. Let's play a little game here. I've got 3 brands on the screen: Spotify, Slack, and Zoom. And all 3 of them, just like us, have defined their problem in 3 words or less. So think about your guesses. I'm going to share Spotify first. Stream music anywhere. It makes so much sense once you see it on the screen, right? But does it pop to your brain immediately? I don't know. But that's their mission. Slack, simplify team communication. Again, that makes so much sense when it's written on the screen. But a gun to my head, if I didn't already know the answer, if you asked me to guess what is Zoom's problem that they're solving in 3 words or less, something with team communication, kind of connect people remotely is theirs. They all make so much sense once you see them. But it's a hard thing to define for yourself, but it's a very, very, very important exercise and one that should really push all of your marketing. It should be the one thing you think about with every marketing choice you make. And just like that, the beginning bits are done. Hiba, I'll hand it to you to talk about actually finding where your best customers are in the wild.
Amazing. Thank you, Becca. And hi, everyone. Bear with me in my super raspy voice, but worst comes to worst, Ben will jump in and take over, which is great. So let's talk a little bit about uncovering where your best clients come from. So as we kind of think about this, and Ben, yeah, before you start marketing and putting in time and effort, it's important to just know where your customers live. So don't start by trying to be everywhere. Instead of, launching a LinkedIn strategy, an SEO strategy, an Instagram strategy, all today and all at once, pause and just ask yourself, where are my best clients actually coming from? And a big part of this customer research work is really aimed at understanding who the right customers are for you. And it's a bit of a mind shift for founders and people starting their marketing journey. And the best way to put it is to just pause and look at your most successful customers and trace their path back to you. Were they referrals? Did they find you through a Google search? Did they find you through social media or a complete other channel? Um, so really, it's all about just deciding on what the right channels are for you. And it starts with understanding where the right customers are coming from. So let's talk through a few tactics to better understand and gauge where your customers are coming from. And so the first tactic is honestly the simplest way to do that. And it's just asking them directly. And the easiest way to do that is, if you have a booking form, when people schedule time with you, just add a question to that form. Make it optional so that it doesn't create friction for someone to book time with you. But over time, as you collect this data, you'll be able to super easily identify trends on where you're sourcing your most successful customers from. So this is a bunch of, made up data. I ran out of You Can Book Me people to add. So I love the movie Shrek, and it was only fitting to include Shrek characters as my clients, which I wish that'd be pretty cool. But as I said, as you get more bookings, you'll be able to add additional details, whether if you push it into your CRM or you just have it in a simple Google sheet. So as we kind of look at this screenshot of the sheet, the main two things I look at as a consultant is where are the right customers coming from for my business, and are there any common threads on the right types of customers for my business? So in this exercise, it helps me understand that LinkedIn and referrals are my best channels. But it also shows me that in most cases, marketing teams with more than 3 employees on their team are a better fit for my services than a solo marketing team or a non-existent one. Sorry. So your homework is to just go into You Can Book Me, add in that question to your booking form, and just simply start asking, how did you hear about us? The next tactic is to use Google Analytics, or GA4 is the short hand for that. And it's just a really great tool for trying to understand your traffic. It's a free tool for tracking user behavior across your websites, your apps, and it's particularly useful for understanding what actions users take and where they come from to your website. Sorry. Well, we're going down this rabbit hole soon, it seems. Ben, you might be jumping in a bit, but I will caution with Google Analytics that it is a big rabbit hole of a lot of information. And so as you think about, going through this tool and where to spend your time, the two things I would look at are a combination of qualitative and quantitative metrics. Sorry. Okay, Ben, maybe jump in for a couple slides here.
Yeah, no worries. So as you're working through GA4, it's the two metrics that Hib is talking about is the quantitative data of what channels are driving the most traffic. So in most cases, you'll see direct traffic as a top driver. That's because it's a bit of a catch-all. If someone texted your website to a friend, as an example, that's direct traffic. If you were posted something in Slack group or other type of kind of off-web community, that'll be direct traffic. Folks that are clicking a link directly to go to your site. But then the second data point is about the quantitative numbers, and that's more of like the quality of that traffic. And we can gauge that quality by engagement. So an engaged session could mean a couple of things. A user has been on your website for at least 10 seconds, or a user triggered a key event that you've set up. This could be clicking a call to action or a CTA, like booking a demo or signing up for your newsletter, visiting kind of like a thank you page for a conversion flow, or they viewed 2 or more pages on your website. So it is a bit of a daunting thing, but your homework for Tactic 2 is really just to log in and set up Google Analytics if you haven't already, or log in and click on the reports and kind of set up a traffic acquisition kind of report, so then you can use that as your kind of starting point to start looking at that quantitative and qualitative data of your traffic coming through. And then if you're like Hiba and I, you can geek out about the numbers, Joel too as well, geek out about the reports and figure out how that can lead into the decisions that you're making further down kind of in your marketing plan. And really, if you don't have Google Analytics set up, step 0 is just getting it set up for your business. So we'll move on to tactic number 3. Now, this can either be very helpful or add a bit of noise. So this is about using an audience research tool like we have here, SparkToro. So this is a concept of where you can find out where your audience is online. And it's these tools that can kind of help you do that. So in this example, let's say you're a leadership coach and you're looking to see where your potential customers hang out. So then as you're using a tool like SparkToro, you're doing a search query or getting information based off of that leadership coach. So that's like the term that folks might be searching for, or communities that they're involved in where that would come up. So we can see some signals that people who typically search this spend most of their time on LinkedIn. And then second is going to be on X, or formerly known as Twitter. And we can also see that mostly they use Claude or Perplexity as their AI tool of choice. And now this data isn't always 100% accurate, so you have to take it with a bit of grain of salt, but it would allow you to cross-reference some of your own data as well. So you can take the research that you're gaining here through a tool like SparkToro, compare it with your own data, and then as Joel will talk about a bit later, or just exploring these different concepts, know what's working and what's not working with your marketing. So your homework, Hiba's putting a lot of homework on you all, but it's hopefully it'll get you started and get you a nice foundation here. But for tactic 3, your homework would be try running your website or relevant keywords through a business audience research tool like SparkToro. And if your website doesn't have a lot of traffic right now, maybe go check out some of your competitors and search them and see what they've been doing. See who's crushing it and where there might be an opportunity to kind of outflank them. So now that you've kind of done some research and you have a bit of data coming in of who's coming to your site, and with that kind of the audience research thing, this is where the fun happens in marketing. So it's about creating ways to connect and get in front of those people. So it's not a one-size-fits-all playbook at all. So we're going to walk through some cool examples by channel. We'll avoid talking about the paid ads because Joel's the expert there and he'll walk through how to get everything set up and give you a primer for the paid ads. But at this point, we've already narrowed down 1 to 2 channels that we want to invest in because we've already they've been driving great business results for you. And those are great customer relationships that you want to continue. So having that, then we need to now go look at the different channels where we can kind of interact with. And we're going to walk through each of these quickly and kind of describe them all. But if you try to do all of these at once, you're probably guaranteed to be like this poor cat here and just exhausted and overdone. So we don't recommend you to tackle all of these, but pick 1 or 2 to kind of do a deep dive in and kind of dig into a little bit more. So the first one we're going to start with, the one that's probably most prevalent and always on front of mind for business owners, is going to be social media. So we have a bit of a social media rules of survival here. So it can open a big can of worms, and it can be a lot of work. So we're going to walk through a couple of basic principles that not only will help you survive this channel, but also thrive as well. So rule number one is not going about, the viral, trying to get viral and calling it a day. It's about putting in consistent reps and being there every day. And that's how you'll win on these channels long term. So it's less about kind of random exposure and kind of hitting a peak, but it's about consistently adding value to your audience there. And then rule number two, to help with the kind of workload, is try to come up with a new and unique idea every single day. It can be overwhelming and you can burn out. So think of ways that you can kind of batch the concepts and the campaigns and create themes around them. So think of it like creating multiple types of a series. And I'll show you an example of that in a moment. And then rule number three is test, analyze, and iterate. So great marketing is all about experimentation. So while you don't need to be in the weeds every single post and looking at its numbers, it's helpful to understand which series are performing best, whether that's impressions of, getting in front of folks, engagements with comments and clicks and likes, or resulting in actual business like paid customers. So the topics of these themes that resonate the most for your audience should bubble up to the top. And then you can think about, expanding that content and the different formats as well, because it could be video, memes, hot takes, all of those things you can kind of iterate and experiment on. But theming them helps you kind of know and batch what's kind of working. So speaking of theming, let's take a look at a common type of a series that people lean into on social media. So here's an example from Hibba's founder space, where it's common content type of showcasing the people, right? The human to human connection. So this could manifest in the form of introducing new employees, like we've been doing with You Can Book Me, talking and highlighting our customers and how they use the tool and how they're growing their businesses, or members like House 831 does. So you can see that it's not only the type that they post, but it's one of the themes that kind of gets kind of brought up. And that consistency, resonates with your audience, and it ties them to the brand and keeps you front of mind, right? So it's less about random things and more about how you're showing up and providing value with everybody.
And
So
I
there's
think
another example.
Hibba might be back for a
Oh.
little bit at least. So best your voice, because she's going to use hers.
Let's go.
We'll try again. Yeah, thanks, Ben. Absolutely crushing this. But yeah, another example in terms of like a social media content type is to really just show off your results. And this is a great theme when it comes to hair salons who do a really great job of doing before and afters, whether it's dyeing hair or haircuts or whatever that might be. And this can translate across a ton of industries. And so if you do physical work, like you're a nail salon, if you do landscaping, interior design, if you're an artist, a photographer, you can even show like before and after of edits. The before and after content is a great theme to explore for your social media marketing work. The next channel we'll kind of dive into a little bit is that email is an incredible channel for marketing to invest in. And that's because it's a channel that you own. It means that, you don't need to stress about Google changing an algorithm overnight or paid ads getting, astronomically expensive overnight. This is an audience that has opted in to hear from you, to speak with you, to engage with you. And so you get to decide the rules of engagement. It's an audience that you're entirely owning and not relying on another company. And so another great thing about email is that there's just so much you can do with this channel, whether you're a service-based business, an e-commerce business, tech. And so some just quick ideas on things that you can try is to run a contest. If you want to incentivize your audience to take action, nothing is more exciting than gamifying an experience and dangling a little prize in front of someone's face. And I'm one of those people. If I need to spend an extra $5 to get free shipping, and that means I spend $100, somehow in my head, that makes sense. And so sometimes just having these little incentives are really great, and gamifying the process. You could also send a promo email. And so, the holidays are around the corner, and this is a great time to do that. Or if you have slow periods during the year and you're looking to make some extra sales or some extra bookings, this can be in the form of discounts as packages. If you're a service-based business, even e-commerce, you can bundle up some products. And then the one thing as well, from an automation standpoint, is to just take advantage of post-meeting or post-appointment emails by asking customers to leave you a review so you can bolster up your Google business profile with positive reviews. This is especially helpful if you're a local business. So increasing your reviews for like cafe in London or whatever that might look like. Um, that's a really great way to use those follow-up emails or nudge people to make another booking. So yeah, these are just a few examples of ways that you can leverage email marketing to drive new or repeating business. And that's it. We're gonna pass it off to the genius of paid ads, Joel.
Thanks for that. Hey everyone, I'm Joel and I'm Demand Generation Manager at You Can Book Me. And I want to do a quick dive today with starting with paid ads. So I've worked with paid ads across different platforms over the last 9 years or so, and I manage ads that we run for You Can Book Me. So I want to give an overview of different routes you can go down to find new customers, some tips on how to be successful, and some things to avoid. I'll be focusing on online ads like paid social and paid search, as that's where my expertise lies. But Ben, who'll be following me, can touch on some other things like out-of-home advertising and other methods. So, first question you need to ask yourself is, are paid ads the right fit for your business? As illustrated here by our friend in the t-shirt, we all want to avoid something that's not a good fit. And that's especially true when we're dealing with spending time and money like you will be doing with paid advertising. I believe there's like 4 key qualifiers you should tick off to determine if paid ads are the right fit for your business. So number one, you want customers now, not later. Obviously, this sounds good in practice, right? Like we all want customers now, and we want revenue and paid that can be a way to achieve that. But there's a cost to that immediacy. So for more organic marketing that we've touched on and Hiba's touched on, like email newsletters, social media following, obviously it takes time and time is money, but you're not necessarily buying your audience directly, spending for eyeballs. Whereas paid ads, you are doing that. So it's a way to show your business directly upfront and there's a cost involved. And you need to make sure that return is worth it for your business. As well as having somewhere to link to, like a website or a booking page that's going to take advantage of potential leads. Secondly, you need to know more or less your ideal customer. So ads are really powerful because you can do lots of different types of targeting, like location, interests, hobbies, job titles. But if you don't know the profile of your customers, just going wide in general is likely not going to get the kind of results that you want and actual conversions. And take it from me, the ad platforms will happily accept your money and your daily spend, but it may not be worth it for you if that's not returning a positive return on investment when it comes to customers. Thirdly, you need to have a good budget that you can invest over a period of time. Generally, across different platforms, you can start running ads for very little and stop any time. However, you may want to up that to make sure you're competitive in different placements against other competitors in the space, and have a budget to run for at least a few weeks to measure results properly. And lastly, you're willing to test, tweak, and improve. So paid ads, unfortunately, they're not a press button to get customers' machine as much as we'd like them to be. Even big brands have varying results over time and end up testing different images, headlines, and creatives. Small changes can make big improvements, and the right creative can be everything. So we'll come on to some ideas in a few slides how you can test your ads. But first, where can you run your ads? So I'm just going to go through some of the main platforms for capturing leads and customers and highlight the perks. Obviously, it doesn't cover everything, but these are kind of the key ones that you'll be looking at and kind of we use as well. So Google Ads or Google Search, and we're all familiar with those sponsored results that you see at the top of your page. So effectively, when you search for something, or when people search for something, you're telling Google that you're willing to spend X amount on those words or phrases that people are looking for. And then you have control over the copy, how it looks, headlines, and you decide where you can link to from the ad. It's best generally for businesses that have website or pages that really deliver on that search as you're capturing someone with high intent looking for a solution actively. So it works well for like e-commerce, local businesses, anything where people are searching for a solution quickly. YouTube ads are also set up in the Google ad platform again, but rather than targeting searches, you are looking for things that people are interested in. So demographics like age, even things like marital status, funnily enough. Obviously also targeting YouTube channels or things that people visit and topics. Typically, YouTube is best for businesses that have a story that works well in video format. So it's a chance to do something and communicate it's a bit deeper and not just bound to static headlines or imagery. And as we know, including myself, people spend a lot of time on YouTube. And it does seem like they're giving more real estate for ads on their videos, which for the end user is not always great. But if someone you're looking to, just put an ad on YouTube, you're going to get a lot more out of your money. And then Meta. So Meta is where you can target Facebook and Instagram users. They have a platform that kind of encompasses all of those. Again, great for people reaching what people like. So their personas and how they behave. It's a very visual platform. Ideal for showing off products and brands, lifestyles, etc. There's a lot of detailed targeting that let you really drill down into the persona you want to market to. And as we talked about, if you have a clear idea of your customer, you can really use these options to your benefit as well. TikTok's an interesting one. Obviously, it skews younger. So if your customer profile skews younger, it could be a great fit. Things like beauty, lifestyle, tech are all very prevalent on TikTok. So again, in terms of targeting people's interests and hobbies, it can be really powerful. The good thing about TikTok is that a lot of the content works best when it's quick and scrappy. So I know we've all seen, a lot of content from TikTok, but you don't need the same kind of polish that you would for something like a YouTube video to stand out. And it can be a good way to get more out of a small budget and get some ad live quicker than you would normally. It's very people-led as well. So if you're the face of your business, or if a part of your business is relying on building rapport and customer relationships, it can be easy to get this across and feel more organic and less promotional than a normal ad. And then finally, just to mention LinkedIn. So LinkedIn obviously is more suited generally to business offerings. Consultants or services geared towards working professionals. A good thing about LinkedIn is being able to target people based on their jobs, companies they work for, and their skills and experience, which is kind of unique to LinkedIn compared to some of these other ones. Generally, you may find higher leads if you offer a service that's desired, but it can be a lot more costly to market on LinkedIn compared to some of the other platforms I mentioned. So we're going to touch a little bit about spender metrics and what to consider when you're evaluating paid ads. Okay, some practical tips, starting with paid ads. It should not feel like a slot machine where you're just putting money in, hoping for a win. So these are some things you can do to avoid that and kind of not guarantee success, but make it much, much more likely. So number one, pick one platform. Each platform I've talked about has its own setup, its own UI to learn, navigate, and create campaigns. Also, you run into issues. They will have their own quirks and requirements in terms of assets, dimensions, different sizes. So unless you have a big team to help you out, you're much better off. You're going to have much more joy just focusing on one platform that you think best suits your customer profile and focus your efforts there. Get creative and test. Just getting your ad seen does not necessarily mean results. Like any other form of marketing that we've mentioned, you need to offer something people are interested in, and there's various ways to get that message across. All the platforms have different split testing. You can send multiple versions of your ad. So test a few things to find out what works best for your audience. And also a lot of these platforms now have generative AI. So you can create things like images and copy more easily without having a design team, even videos, and these can add a lot more polish to your campaigns. However, as with any generative AI, mistakes can be made. So always cast an editorial eye and make sure what's being generated really represents your brand in the correct light. And that ties into having a clear audience. So the more targeted your audience is in the platform, the more you can create ads that really speak to them and what they want or need. So you could have the funniest or catchiest ad in the world for a dog grooming business, but if 80% of your audience that you've targeted don't have pets, you're going to be wasting a lot of spend on people that are wrong in terms of becoming customers. And lastly, make adjustments. So use the information you're getting back as you're running campaigns to tweak your ads. If you're seeing that you get lots of engagement Monday to Thursday and then it dries up on the weekend, you can edit your ad to reschedule that, spend budget where it's going to work better and get more results. You can tweak placements across different feeds. So Meta, as we talked about, would be Facebook, Messenger, Instagram. But during the setup or even during the process, you can just say, I want to send to Instagram only because that's where I'm getting results. And why did I put sometimes? Well, so the ad companies obviously want your spend. They're a business and that's their business model that they run on. And you'll see these helpful tips like you could get 5,000 more impressions a day by increasing your daily spend to X amount. Great, but always weigh up whether potential gains are worth it for your investment and focus on the metrics that are going to have the real impact. So what are those metrics to look out for? As I said, it can be a bit of a jungle on these platforms. You'll get thrown loads of metrics at you, and I'm just going to focus on some key things that helps to kind of decide if the ads are actually successful and what actions you need to take if some of these metrics aren't what you want. So Impressions, kind of top of the funnel, tell you how many people are being served your ad. This is usually down to two things: having a good audience that fits your spend, how much competition is out there. So lower impressions could mean that you're either targeting too niche or too general, or that lots of other people are targeting the same groups and other competitors in the same space and are spending more to get shown. Click rate or click-through rate, this tells you how effective your ads are once they're served. So high click rate means you're capturing people's attention and interest, great. Low click rate can mean that you're not doing enough to break the scroll. So you could look at your ad copy, you can see if you can add more urgency in that copy, push people to click and find out more and make an inquiry or book. I'll come on to some ideas to test that shortly. Cost per click is how much you're paying for each person that clicks. So a higher cost per click could indicate that there's competition around what you're targeting. But again, it also relates back to click rate. So if your creative is not performing well, you're going to be spending more per click in general, unfortunately. Conversion rate, how many people are actually going to become customers after clicking your ad? So often this requires some tracking to be set up or having a feedback loop, as we talked about from customers. I'll go into this a bit more in the next slide. And then cost per acquisition. So this is the hero metric, if you like, of whether or not your paid ads are working successfully. So if you're spending $100 per week on paid ads and you typically generate 2 customers, that's a $50 CPA or €50, £50. Now, depending on your business, that could be good or bad, if you like. So if the lifetime value of your customers is $200, as in that's how much they would typically spend during their life cycle, then you're tripling your investment because you're paying $50 to get a customer and they're returning $200 on average. Obviously, if they only pay $20 for something in their lifetime and then they churn, that's not a good ROI. So you want to tweak things depending on your business and your strategy. And yeah, just as mentioned, so a good CPA or cost per acquisition can only really be defined by you and what customer brings to your business. With the rest of these metrics, what's considered good or baseline is going to vary a lot from platform to platform. But there's tons of info online or via ChatGPT or the platforms themselves to help you kind of understand what is a good baseline for each section and what you should aim for and if something's doing good or bad. So how can you track these metrics? As I kind of alluded to, a lot of these platforms have them easy to see on the campaigns, like impressions, clicks, spend. They'll be right there as you kind of create stuff and as you check on stuff. They also have report builders where you can kind of break things down in more detail. So for instance, you may want to see where's your highest engagement by day of the week or city or state, and you can do things like that in the report builders. If you're linking to your You Can Book Me page, you can take advantage of the Google Analytics integration, what we've kind of talked about. This can take some setup, but we have docs available, which I'll share in the chat shortly that can help. Each ad platform is going to have sections on setting up conversion tracking. This could be simple as linking accounts to your ad account and then a Google Analytics account, or it can be more complicated if you have a big website and you may need a web developer to go and help set up some code. There's tons of information on the platforms to help do that, and they'll guide you through the processes, but take it from me, it's never quite straightforward. And some of these things are more tricky than not to set up, but it's really important that you get things set up with this way so you can really see conversions go through to the end of the funnel. And also, we talked about this, but don't shy away from sourcing this information from your customers. So Hibba talked about the booking form section, or in person if that's applicable as well, or via a message or a survey. Always super useful to go directly to the source, as often people can hit multiple touch points, and only they really know what swayed them into becoming a customer. So you're trying to drive up click rate on your new ads and you want to capture people's attention. What ingredients make for a good ad test? So first, you want to ensure that you're only changing one thing at a time. This could be the image within your ad, it could be the headline, the text, or even the call to action like book now or find out more. Key really is to test one of these changes at a time. If you change them all simultaneously, yeah, sure, you may end up with a better performing ad, but you won't be able to pinpoint why. And then when it comes to understanding like what works in the future or your audience, it's going to be much harder to replicate. So really just stick to one thing at a time. Ensure you have a proper audience split. So if you're split testing 2 ads, they should be both going to the same type of audience and similar size. You want a fair comparison, obviously. Most of these ad platforms will have testing stubs. You can easily just send 2 or 5 or 7 variations of the same creatives with slight changes, and they'll help you walk through that process. Make sure you assign a clear amount of time before you make a decision. So give your ads enough time to gather engagement data over 2 weeks or a month or something like that to really make a good judgment on what works. And lastly, try and avoid your own personal bias. I know from experience, it's like frustrating if you think you have something great and amazing, and then you test it only to realize that the original version was better, or the stuff you didn't like performed better. Don't fall into the habit of painting metrics in a certain light. And as we kind of discussed, focus on the key metrics. They're really going to help you drive what works if you just stick to the key things. And sometimes you need a few goes to get something right. So try and put yourself in your customer's shoes rather than something you would personally be swayed to click on, and just kind of test things and be confident to kind of keep trying and get it right. And then lastly, just to give you an example of a solid A/B test. I call it A/B just because it's testing 2 versions, but it's just a split test, and you could test 3 versions of something or 5 versions, which I'd actually recommend, especially if you're starting out for the first time with ads. So this test was to see what worked better as a static image for our Instagram ads for You Can Book Me for personal trainers and fitness coaches. So everything else in the ad was kept the same, the CTA, the sign up part, copy underneath, all the same. We just changed the image in the middle. And we wanted to see A, which was better for breaking the scroll, getting people to stop what they're doing and check on their feed, and B, getting that all-important click through and make an account with You Can Book Me. And the idea behind the image was to test a conventional image ad that we had set up versus familiar UI. So what I mean by that is this is like a fake screenshot we made of Instagram's direct message UI, just showing a bunch of unread DMs from potential clients trying to make a booking. So really understanding it from the audience's point of view. And they're asking to reschedule, they're asking for hourly rates and saying if they can get an appointment, etc. So just understanding the pain points of the audience and putting that nicely into an image. This idea is something I've used before as well, this familiar UI. So feel free to steal this for your own business and try if it's applicable and it makes sense. So we ran for 2 weeks to give enough time to give a fair test and then prioritize the winner moving forward. And as you can see, image B had a much stronger click-through rate. So more people were urged to click through to You Can Book Me and create an account based on that. And because we had that conversion tracking set up, we were able to see that we got 6 accounts from those clicks versus 0 from the A test. So really important that you can get those conversion trackings set up and you can really see the whole funnel and what's going to make the big wins for your business. And I just really like this example because it summarizes some of the things I mentioned in the last slide. So we tested one thing, we gave it a fair split, we gave it a certain amount of time to collect results, and I avoided my own personal bias because I'd done this before and it's worked, and I just checked the things that matter. So click-through rate, conversions, and made an informed decision. So just to kind of take away and summarize on paid ads, be creative, try new things, and attempt to connect with the audience on their level. So give them something they can relate to, shows them that you understand them and the kind of pain points they deal with, and you'll have success. And tying nicely in with that is Ben again to talk to you about getting connected to your lead.
Thanks, Joel. And the whole ad thing could be its own separate webinar for sure, because there's a lot to cover there. But just dive in and test some things out. So after you've spent all the time to find your ideal customer, get where they're going, create marketing content and campaigns, you need to convert them to a lead. So how do you do that? And as Hiba mentioned, it's all about kind of reducing friction. So in simplest terms, we need to shorten the distance between you and them as much as possible. And you can see in the screenshot that we stole from Joel's ad, it's like a lot of people are reaching out to you, right? They want to talk with you about your services, want to work with you, and you need an on-ramp or an easy way for them to meet with you. And the easiest way to do that is on your website, replace a contact us with a booking link. So here's an example of one of my wife's clients. She's a marketing consultant, and we just swapped out the contact us with the schedule a demo for the software tool. And what that does is that then leads to an embedded booking page. So this is online, open for bookings 24/7. So there's no emails back and forth. There's no, hey, when are you free? Hey, I need to cancel, reschedule. All of that handled automatically by directing people onto the website with the embed. And you can take it even further from there. Another one of my wife's clients, a solar company, uses custom QR codes on their business cards to then link to embedded booking pages for each of the reps. So this is a direct connection to that sales rep to get meetings onto their calendar without anybody needing to be involved, right? It's already there, it's open, and then that's the way to get scheduling as quick as possible. Because it's all about that speed to lead, right? Of as fast as somebody is interested, get them onto your schedule. Get the lead into your system so then you can talk with them. So a bit of your homework is, if you don't have a scheduling page, is to set one up on You Can Book Me and embed it directly onto your website and create those calls to actions. It's a bit of copy and paste, and we'll give you the resources on how to do that. But it's just giving your customers an easy way to get a hold of you. And those QR codes in the sharing options for your page could be used elsewhere as well. So it's like on business cards, as we saw, on certain websites, certain posters, promotions, links in your email signature, just anywhere, casting as wide of a net as possible and using those booking pages as the kind of first impression. So here's an example of some posters for events, conferences. Let's say you're going to a conference. You can have a roll-up banner with a link to book you directly at that conference to get leads, or a kiosk in a mall, right? All of that is a way to get more people interested, and again, reducing the friction to get them to work with you. Even adding signage onto your front window for a chance to book in the presentation you're giving for a client or anyone. It's just getting it in front of as many people as possible. And even, other marketing options out of home, as they say, of like, billboards and, advertisements in bathrooms with a captive audience, like having a QR code there to, address their pain point and talk with them. And it's all about experimenting and kind of seeing where things are working. But to Joel's point, is like, if you have tracking, you can see how many people are clicking on it to get to your booking page or get to your website, and how many people are going through to book. And then the other big piece of this, as Hibba was mentioning, is capturing information up front. So on your booking page, we want to learn as much from your lead or your prospect to have a successful first conversation. So keeping in mind that this is still a lead, not yet a customer. So what information is crucial for you to understand to then sell your services and then talk about closing them into a customer. So that first impression is critical. And one option is like, how have you heard about us? But more importantly, like, what are your pain points? What are some challenges you're running into? So asking the right questions of what you need to know, what's the least you need, to reduce that friction, making these optional, or a way to filter out people that you don't want to work with. So, trying to hone in on your ideal customer could be possible with your booking form, with setting up certain qualification questions or any conditions that you may want to add. Like an example here, this person only works with folks older than 18. So you could have that be a disqualification if somebody's not over 18, or certain budget examples. I mean, there's a lot you can do. And again, the beautiful thing with this is you set it up and get it out into the world, and it's always working for you all day, every day, based off of your settings and your kind of configuration. So that was the ton that we covered, right? In all of this of finding your people, getting in front of them with different campaigns and ads, getting the ability to convert them into a lead. So again, we will be sending out this takeaway for you, and you'll be getting all of that information over to you with this recording in the next couple of days.
That's right, Ben. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the panelists, because we've gone from really simple, actionable things that anybody on this call could do to more complex things. And so ways to grow the way that you do marketing, and to literally to get more customers, and to find where your customers are, and to hone your offer towards them. And so, as Ben says, there's a lot of information there. We'll be sending out a PDF after this. If you have any questions at all, please go ahead and pop them into the Q&A. Or if you've got others that are a bit later on, we're going to offer an Ask Me Anything session. And this is where if you join the session, we will be here live. We'll be able to answer any questions you've got. We can help you to focus on things like setting up Google Analytics tracking, editing your booking page to maximize those opportunities like Ben and Hibba were talking about, embedding the thing in your website, super powerful way to access customers 24/7 and have them find you when they need you the most. And so there's a lot of things we can do here. So please go ahead, and Becca's put the link there in the chat. So if you want to join one of those sessions, we'd be delighted to chat with you further about all of these things we've talked about, and talk about you specific situations that you want to talk about as well. And then also, as Hibba said, first of all, we've got this next group of webinars coming up. We will let you know, keep an eye out for our next dates for these, and anything, if you have any ideas and specific things that you want covered in any of these, please go ahead and reply to the email that Becca's going to send out to let us know any of the specific areas. But these are the ones we're going to be doing coming up in the next couple of months after the holidays. And of course, we've got our shameless promotion. As Hibba said, send out your emails, get your promos in. But what we want to let you know is every single one of you in your You Can Book Me account can easily find your referral link. It's very simple. There's a little gift icon, or it's in the drop down by your account. You can find a link, and if you send that to friends, share the love of You Can Book Me. For a short time around the holiday season, what we're doing is we're improving that offer so that whoever signs up that you've sent them, they will get 50% off their You Can Book Me subscription, and you can get a 25% credit for your account as well. So just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that one as well. And we look forward to hearing about you from you again soon. So any other questions or anything else, we'll definitely come back to you. We're running a little bit out of time here. So if you've left a question, we will come back to you individually and let you know any answers that you've got. So thank you all very much for attending. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much to all of our panelists, and especially Hibba, who is really not feeling very well.
Especially Ben. Ben is a marketer now, through and through.
It's in my bone marrow. Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Anything we could help with? We're here.
Thank you so much for coming, you guys. And we hope to see you in those recap sessions. See you soon.